Greatness to all. And once again, it's your brother Cash, Dr. Pearson-Rahtu, preordained 1179 AD, in theology and knowledgistic thoughts thereof. Today's topic will be the relevance of mindful support. First off, let's look at the words that are being used for as relevance, mindful, and support. The word relevant itself is upon the individual thoughts alone that may always varies depending on the situation or conversation thereof. So we have to be relevant in the matter thereof to truly connect closely to the subject of any rising situation given in life. To be relevant is also a standpoint in truth and in anything in given time or given situation. As an example, the youth, the history, the relevance. The relevance of the history of the youth has always been a love and tender for those who became parents, like most of us out here today that cares for their children, their well-being, things of that nature. In history, we have taught the youth to understand the difference between playtime as a child and work time as a child. So therefore, they will have a better knowledge and awareness as they grow. Some have to take their children. Well, some have taken their children at certain ages, like hunting and things of that nature, or work around the house, or had the other children helping around the house. That was the little girls with the mothers, giving them the essentials of life to survive and thrive for themselves and the know-how to help others. For others that are acceptable to the challenge for the greatness endeavors, for as the boys following their father's work, being led by an example of the masculinity that provided for the household, understanding everyone had to do their share. So therefore, the fruits of the labor would not go in vain, nor distractions given to the child in innocence of youthfulness to learn. Like I said once before, the mother will teach the daughter and take up the home and how to spend the time with her to talk of conduct, of the manner of conduct of a lady, and how to take care of that husband and things of that nature. As far as the son sometimes went to work with their father out in the fields, or, it could have been steel work. It varies depending on the generations and the time states. So mainly we're just talking about, yet once again, the relevance of the youth. So, that plays a big part. And, the first lesson that's given to the child or the children of the youth was the instructions on how to live a good life with the compounds and things of that nature here being in their surroundings, giving love, giving kindness, and discipline of judgment with love so they do not stray from their upbringing. There are many parts that I could discuss and carry on within being relevant or the relevance of being relevant. Understanding we see the path that I'm going. So now we understand that portion. Let's go to the mindful portion of it. It is to be conscious or aware of something and everything surrounded with acceptance and without judgment. Being mindful for the youth so therefore they can understand how to be mindful to their daily actions and their willings to have betterness for themselves and others surrounding them. I understand these days and times it's hard to connect to the youth in most ways. On the contrary, we do have the youth that wants more in life and showing it by their actions, so far proving themselves to be upright in their community and schooling efforts. Opposites are the youth that cause the chaos from not being led right of the self-respect and respect for others, for the lack of the work to be better and to do better. Most take the destruction in life and look at it as the meaningful mindfulness of the now and don't worry about later mentality. And with that mindset, it is kind of hurtful and painful for most of us parents to see any child or any youth go through any hardship, heartache, or disobedience to the greatness character of themselves. Opposite in truth, there are parents that don't care to do the right thing for their child or their children because they wasn't taught to do the same themselves or never chose to learn to improve themselves to want a better difference than what they were taught. Most latch on to the chaotic nature that helps employ the destruction of themselves and the youth. We truly look at it mindfulness that it takes to raise a child. All children will be more productive, not only to themselves, but their surrounding others on this planet that we all share under the greatness of God. We all have to act like it, give the action to it. Therefore, it's no act, but action to improve their perspective of themselves being the youth. That's just the mindfulness and the willpower for the greatness if they choose to do so. Mindfulness is embracing God's promise of abundant life, living life fully by every present of each moment, instead of being somewhere different throughout the experiences of each moment of chaos, thrusting them further away from the greatness that God has for them, and also ourselves in our daily endeavors. So that's also means that we have to also be mindful, and given the verb to it would be the support of bearing the weight or the uphold, and also be in consideration of assistance. So looking at the word support itself, we're having the system for support in ways that is understandable to the youth, that they'll have better and greater futures for themselves. So being mindful and giving them that support will give them that someone cares, even though they may feel no one cares and things of that nature. So, we have to reach out for the ones that we can reach out to and give them the utmost respect for themselves, and to prosper and take that on if no one else is saying it. That's part of showing that support of being mindful to the relevance of it all. And only if we truly understand and look at the self-worth, then we can actually make it happen together for those that want it. And for those that don't, hey, we can lead them but can't make them go. Now, as adults, we all should participate in all times to help correct any younger and sometimes our own age of the mindset and the statement that they are putting forth in the eyes of the youth and the younger children. So that's also being mindful of oneself as well. And that's also supporting oneself as well to give the relevance to have it all. And, hopefully it just wasn't too short for everybody. But, I like to get straight to the point when I talk about things in that nature and everything. But that's just the relevance of mindful support. And I thank y'all for being here with y'all brother Cash, Dr. Pearson-Rahtu, preordained 1179 AD in theology and ologistic thoughts thereof. Any questions?
When you say mindful, does that pertain to a surface level, or does that or does that even go, or does that go deeper than the surface?
It goes deeper through the surface, from within to the outer of it, and from the outer to within. And what I mean by the deeper surface of it, you have to be mindful of yourself to give the positivity that's needed for betterness. If you want to see better, become part of better. Show an example of betterness than bitterness, So to say it that way, yes, it is something that starts with each individual. That's why they must want to be able to take on the task and not to have a certain destructive mentality, but want to see something thrive and actually see things grow. No, it strictly pertains towards the youth, but even some adults also need that mindful support as well.
Excellent explanation. Appreciate that, my brother.
I don't want to speak to that. It was a meme I saw that was like, this dude, he had a mask on, and behind the mask it was like all teared up and stuff like that. A lot of people will take a false sense of security to just kind of mask the situation, and mask this false sense of happiness, and still be bitter. But if you instead take that pill and just know, you know, nobody resent even you. You create a space where you're just more mindful of, your possibilities, and what's really capable of going on around you, and creating good consequences for yourself.
Well, for as much as I can hear what you said, being mindful of those that's surrounding you is also not to put yourself in harm's way, just like you wouldn't want to put anyone else in harm's way. So if you around individual any which way that's not mindful of their own being, how can you think that they're going to be mindful for you?
Well, it's true nobody is exempt, but continuing what you've been saying, you're trying to be mindful with your children and you try to teach them the right way and show them right way, but they choose to listen to their people their own age and go into ways that are dangerous. How do you, what else can you do?
Well, once again, given that mindful thought to speak to them and show them encounter-wise, hey, don't do this or this will occur. That was the discipline portion of being that parent. You know, you're gonna do as I say, and you're gonna do well until you get your own. Until then hey, you have no say so. And see, those are the essentials that we once inherited as parents that for whatever reason throughout the generations, not just systematically giving it off to, you know, one system, but just a deterioration of that stronghold over the household, having those both parents there. So if that child still choose to go out there and do it and they bump their head, then they have to live with that. I'm not going to have to live with it because I told you. So therefore I have to live with it, but not in ways that you have to deal with it. So you do wrong, you expect that wrong's gonna happen. You do right, expect that wrong gonna still happen. But know that you're gonna have a lot of gratefulness and mindfulness within you that's more inherited than anything material.
Thank you.
And can I say, if you choosing the profane route, you're not gonna teach anyone around you to discern whether or not they creating good consequences. So then, just like with us, you're not teaching yourself. If you running in the route of the profane, you gonna put yourself in a position where you sit there and you say, "Oh, okay." My you kind of get mad because the bad consequences end up your Freemasonry don't teach you nothing.
Well, for one, if you're within the fraternity itself, you should automatically know better. Number one. For number one, you don't know thyself. So there go your third strike. Other than that, if you're a profane, quote unquote, you're doing your job. You're out here going against the dwelling opposite of the words that those like I myself speak of. You're doing your part. I'm doing my part. Your thing is to get me to persuade that way. My thing is to persuade you the most fulfilling, grateful way. It might not be as easy as being so easy to do wrong, but it has greater rewards coming off to doing what it is to do right. Whether you got to bite your tongue, bite your jaw, bite your finger, dig up another job, figure something out, go collect cans, anything opposite of being in a destructive manner. Now, thank you for that. That's a great point as well, bringing that in. Anyone else?
I have one point here, and it's also about like if you are being a role model. If what would you say like this? If you are a role model, does it also require strength?
Yes, being a role model definitely requires the strength, but it also acquires establishment as well. So therefore, you know, you have to know thyself, not to be conducting yourself in an unmanly or manner, you know, that goes against the morals and the values that's stated for you and therefore you that you represent. So fret not, so you don't have to worry about not. And in theory, the monitoring of relationships with caring adults can be supportive to the youth every which way, even to ourselves, amongst being adults. All it takes is just a kind word sometimes. That's being supportful. That's being mindful. That's being relevance or having relevance. You may not even know the individual, and you just may say, I hope you have a great one, or just give them some type of word of encouragement. It's been times where I've been walking to gas stations and they about to get robbed. And I see them setting up to getting robbed, but they didn't get robbed because we crossed paths. And because I had the courage to say something to the person that was about to rob the place. But if I didn't have that courage and they got in there and robbed the place, I could have been shot, or who knows who could have been shot. Sometimes we're put in places where we are put to the test of who we are. I wouldn't allow no one else child to get hit by a vehicle because I wouldn't want no one else child to hit my child by a vehicle. So you have to be mindful. I wouldn't disrespect this old lady or this old man because I would want someone to respect my old woman or my old man for as my grandparents or my parents if they're out and about themselves. Sometimes I may help people and, they feel my grandchild don't even do that for me. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. And I'm for sure that you're a lovely grandparent, but I still help them with their groceries or whatever needs to be done. It's just out not just the kindness of who I am, but also because it's the right thing to do. If you see someone that's struggling, help them if you can. If they don't want the help, then therefore you done your part. Don't worry about it. I'm not going to give the same guy sits on the corner every day begging for change when he can pick up those cans that he just threw on the ground and go turn them in. All it takes is just picking them up and walking to where he needs to walk to do it, to repurpose it instead of standing there begging and asking for it. But then I see someone else that may have a child, unfortunately, out here that's asking for change. Hey, if I don't have the money, and I may have some other means to get something for you, here go a couple of sandwiches. Here go an apple. Here go some water, something. It's not like I haven't pulled over after going grocery shopping and took out stuff and just passed it to them. But see, these are the conducts of each characteristics to each individual. So it varies in so many different ways and so many different possibilities. And it's a grateful thing, universal wise, because any and everything that vibrates within the universe have movement. So therefore, it's a great verb. And I am so grateful to be part of the verb nation or vibration thereof. That's why I'm y'all brother Cash, caring about situations heavily. CASH.